Hey guys, today I'd like to talk about Western civilization and whether or not it's still applicable today or still relevant today. The question is, what is civilization? Uh, for those of us who've actually studied international relations, I would argue that civilization is almost similar to the nation state. And what is a nation state? Obviously, it's a group of people that actually have certain things in common, such as culture, history, language, religion, and of course, when we talk about civilization is more of a broader term than the nation state. Uh, the civilization could still have a number of countries within it, and of course, each of these countries would obviously have a different language. They would probably have different cultures and maybe different religions. Although I would argue that in certain cases, religions are similar. For example, let's take Western civilization. Western civilization are mostly comprised of what I would argue is Judeo-Christian civilizations. Their religion is basically Christianity. And if we take a look at like Western Europe, also the United States, Australia, New Zealand, all of the countries that would be considered Western, obviously many of them are largely Christian. Of course, the United States maybe being the exception, since we have various different ethnic groups here with different religions, and I guess Western Europe is almost similar to that as well. They've allowed different ethnic groups to immigrate to their countries. They speak different languages. They have different religions. So in a way, it's a melting pot. We could also maybe include Japan as a Western country, considering their constitution was written by the United States, and it's pretty much a parliamentary system. So to me, that's what civilization is. And as far as is Western civilization or civilization in general is still relevant today, I'd probably argue yes. Uh, and the reason why I think this is probably because of this uh, journal article right here. Obviously, it's a collection of articles, uh, and it's a debate about Samuel Huntington's famous essay in Foreign Affairs that's called The Clash of Civilizations. And basically, what Huntington is arguing is that uh, conflict or warfare in general, it's going to be civilization based. And he has a number of civilizations listed in his article. Um, of course, Western civilization is included in it, and other civilizations that actually I think are more religious based. Like there's the Muslim civilization, there's an Orthodox civilization, uh, a Buddhist civilization, I believe, a Hindu, and Confucian. Obviously, the Chinese would be the Confucian civilization, although there's a lot of Buddhism that's practiced in China as well. So you could almost argue that it's a combination of both Confucian and Buddhism. But he argues that conflicts are going to fall into civilization based on civilization lines. So, for example, if we actually look at what's going on in the Middle East today, obviously the United States, which would be Western civilization, is fighting various wars in the Middle East against Muslim civilizations. Um, that's basically the gist of what he's arguing. And also, if we want to consider the fact that the United States is a Christian civilization, sometimes Christianity doesn't offer certain kind of solutions or certain actions. If you espouse Christianity, you're not supposed to act in certain ways. And there's another author, Robert Kaplan, excuse me, who wrote this book, which is called Warrior Politics. And basically, what he's saying in this book is that to have an effective foreign policy, or if we have to fight certain kinds of wars, and Christianity doesn't allow for certain actions to occur or certain strategies He argues that, well, you know what? Maybe we should take a look at paganism. There's certain things in paganism that are, quite frankly, allowable. Uh, and basically, I think what he's arguing is that, well, maybe Christianity has this moral code, and maybe in foreign policy we need to be amoral in our outlook. And so he talks a lot about certain kinds of pagan beliefs, I guess, if you want to call it that, or um, basically certain authors that uh, are basically kind of in a pagan mindset. For example, he talks about Sun Tzu, which is basically one of my favorite books. But he talks about Sun Tzu, and he also talks about Machiavelli and virtue. It's a quite interesting book. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend reading this book or this article as well. Uh, and so this is my take on whether or not civilization is still relevant. I would argue yes, because guess what? Uh, Conflicts are going to arise, and it's going to be based on civilizations. Thank you.